G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing a player who just set another world record amount of points in today's solo cash cup on EU. That is 2 world records in 2 weeks. Does this make them the best player in the world right now? That's what we're going to discuss. We also had a whole bunch of dominant performances on NA East and NA West as well, with one of the closest NA East finishes we've seen so far this season. So there's lots to talk about. Let's just jump into it. Kicking off the Cash Cup recaps with EU, we of course are going to talk about Malibuca, and right now Malibuca is making the claim that he is the best player in the world right now, at least as far as Cash Cups go. Without FNCS, we don't really know, but as far as solos goes, Malibuca is the most dominant player in the world right now. He just won the EU Cash Cup on 211 points in 6 matches. Take a look at second place, which was Ryzen, getting 125. Also, mind you, let me show you last week's leaderboard in case you're unaware. Last week, Lewis won on 98 points. Malibuca just got 211. He got over double the points of first last week in 6 matches. He won 3 of them in a row, with his last game being a 5 elim third. He almost won 4 games in a row in set lobby solos. Absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, if you guys didn't remember as well, Malibuca 2 weeks ago set the point record in the round 1 of the solo cash cup qualifier. So he has now run 2 round 1s and a round 2, setting 2-point records in those 3 tournaments. I don't know of a more dominant performance in cash cups in a very long time. Like, we're going back to OG Unknown Army with this, and I know Unknown Army won more of them, but just setting point record after point record and doing it in opens and set lobbies, showing that he is incredibly versatile as a player. Obviously, this is going to spark a lot of controversy, a lot of people calling him a cheater. Malibuca even streaming the last game yet again. Malibuca seems to always go live once he's doing well and still perform well. Every single time he goes live, he then goes on to dominate. In the round 1, he also streamed all of the NA East games I was watching. Despite some very weird noises, it seems like when Malibuca is getting hyped up, he turns into a pig. I don't really know how to explain that. He makes oinking noises. It's Fortnite, man. Just go with it. But right now, Malibuca is on one of the most dominant tears I have ever seen. And again, you might be asking, how is he so consistent? Aussie, what is he doing? And I don't do a lot of VOD reviews these days, but I've been watching a lot of Malibuca's gameplay. So I just want to quickly break down the main keys to success that I see from Malibuca. First off, he is currently dropping at the gas station over near Jones's, which is not an insanely strong drop spot by any means. The one main strength of this drop spot is the Spider-Man, but he's not using the Spider-Man like a lot of players. Most players save their Spider-Man through the mid game, use it in end game to get front side, look back, and try to hold people. Malibuca kind of uses it like this, but not really. He uses Spider-Man to get to dead side of rotating. I've talked about this a lot in the past, but if, let's say, a rotating zone pulls diagonally across, if you can get over to this side of zone, it's going to be the dead side because everyone's rotating from this angle over here. So if you're over here, there's no one behind you. So you can then take these super aggressive fights that Malibuca does, and you get rewarded from them. I have never seen a player more confident in my life. And what I mean by that, Malibuca will quite often be on maybe 100, 125 health. He'll have minis, he'll have splash, he has big pots, and he won't use them if he thinks he can take someone out and get the siphon from them and then save the meds to use later in Storm, whether they be splashes or med mist or anything like that. I've never seen someone so confident to take a fight on a health disadvantage and know they're gonna win it like Malibuca. But he's not just doing brain dead pushes, just hopping in box and spraying with an SMG. He's taking smart angles. Like I said, he's usually positioning himself in a really good spot where he's now got his enemy pinned up against Storm or against other enemies, and he's taking the fight from the safer side of zone. So if it doesn't go his way, he can disengage and Spider-Man further into zone. He is not going for high ground whatsoever. I have not seen Malibuca play high ground a single time because there's less enemies on high ground. If you play the mid and low ground, you get as good a Malibuca at fighting and getting refreshes and finding those angles. Why would you go high ground? There's just less chance to get eliminations. Not only did Malibuca win those 3 games, 2 of them he had double digits. He got a 10 elim win and an 11 elim win back to back in set lobbies. This guy is an absolute demon. I thought he could only do it in opens lobbies. He's been doing well in the set lobbies, but this kind of a performance made a statement. If you want to get better as a player, go watch Malibuca's games back, go watch the VODs. You can learn so much from the way he plays. Obviously, this isn't just about Malibuca despite his insane performance. Big shout outs to Ryzen, who came in second on 125 points, Hydro on 105, iDrop on 96, Chapix on 77. That's kind of where the big drop was between 4th and 5th. Relvis on 73, Vagram on 71, I believe it's Ju on 68, and on 68, and then Kronos is happy on 60. So when you look at the fact that Malibuca got 211 points and 10th got 60, that is just ridiculous. He is almost 4 times the point of 10th place overall, but it was a fantastic EU Cash Cup across the board. Obviously, the last few games were just a victory rap for Malibuca, but big shout outs to iDrop as well. iDrop was playing phenomenally well in the first 3 games. 4th game was pretty decent, but unfortunately, the last 2 games came unstuck. But man, watching iDrop frag out and go crazy is one of the most fun things in the game right now. But EU is super exciting. It was the first time I was able to actually wake up and watch them live on my stream. Again, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'm watching all the tournaments at the moment. Now that I'm in beautiful Canada, I can get up early enough, and man, EU was a treat. NA East was a completely different story. There was no runaway. Going into the last game, Cold, Fatch, and Gold were separated by only 2 eliminations. There was less than 4 points from first down to third. So we had a really exciting game 6 on our hand. Cold did end up taking it out on 123 points, just beating out Fatch and Gold at the very end. Cold did phenomenally well. He was dropping Covert Cavern. He was contested, and they were not splitting it. There was a couple of times where Cold had to go up against Marion, who, again, EU versus NA East, and Marion did get the better of him in game 4, which was a little bit dicey coming into the end of the tournament, but Cold brought it back together, and I wanted to give a big shout out to these 3 players because it was exciting to see 3 players do so well and play so consistent without Spider-Man. None of these players get Spider-Man. Obviously, getting Covert Cavern and getting the Vault is going to give you a bunch of launch pads and the vehicle, but that was it for Cold. Didn't have a Spider-Man. As far as Fatch drops kind of like a Lighthouse split over near Sleepy. Also, again, gets no Spider-Man. Does get a vehicle quite often, but even some games doesn't utilize the vehicle, so Fatch was doing it bare bones basic. So very huge shout out to the French Canadian for pulling that one off. Was so close to closing out the tournament, was in first for a lot of it, but then the 2 Elim 17th in the last game, just going down to Cold's 4 Elim 9th, was enough to seal the deal. And then we had Gold, who you guys are probably seeing a lot on the leaderboard. Very up and coming player when it comes to solos, especially doing absolutely phenomenal this season. Gold also, again, getting no Spider-Man, getting no us, usually getting a vehicle, but that's about it. So top 3 on NA East was super exciting. In 4th, we had Pledge. We had another French Canadian with Pam Stu in 5th. We had Tabney in 6th, Jackson in 7th, Shonye in 8th, Sphinx in 9th, and then Cobalt in 10th. I will say as well, though, NA East was missing quite a lot of big names because they're all at the Twitch Streamer Bowl. We're missing Booga, Clicks, Day, Threats, even more of those players. But across the board, it was really exciting to watch NA East either way, and I'm super happy to see some of these underrated guys pop off, and I want to see Cold pick up that momentum coming into FNCS. Scented and Cold was one of our favorite duos when they formed. They were playing really well. They've gone a little bit quiet now, so it's good to see Cold back on top, gaining some confidence heading into FNCS next week. West, this season's all been a story about up-and-comers and new names and new faces on the top, and some people are upset by that, but I personally have been loving it. Today was no exception. We had Flu Zeno, I believe is how you pronounce it, or ZNO, getting 153 points. Remember, this player has $900 earnings before this, so been around for a little while, placing really well in solos, and now's their chance, having a big pop-off performance today, getting almost 50 points clear of second, so big congrats to them, playing 6 matches, winning 1 of them, going mostly for a placement heavy than just Elim format, but I like that. Most people are trying to take away a lot of the achievements from players right now, or they're just abusing SMG, they're just jumping in boxes and getting a consistent average placement of 9.50 in set lobbies. Hats off to Zeno, very good performance. We had Kinzo in second, who I'm seeing at the top of the leaderboards a lot at the moment on West. We had Vert of Fates that we're used to seeing up there. I don't know who this one is, PHA or Far, and then I'm guessing Arabic. I'm sorry, I don't know that one. We had GG Easy, we had Acorn, Tabney, Cam, Aiden, and then Playify, who we're seeing at the top of a lot of the leaderboards, not just NA East. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.